Hi, this is Alpha Wolf Dungeon. Today we're talking about aftercare. Now, first of all, before we start, you might see me glance over here every once in a while. I got a bunch of notes. So, first of all, welcome to this site. I hope you enjoy this. So, first of all, what is aftercare? Okay, during a session, you have a lot of hormones going, endorphins. Your adrenaline is running, and after that session, all that's gone. It's not there. You're running on an empty tank. It's like a truck. You run it and you run it, and eventually it stops. And afterwards, well, you got to fill it up again. Or you got to deal with reality. In BDSM, you have to deal with the reality of coming back down, and now instead of a submissive or a dom, you are, Joe Smo from Little Rock or North Carolina or, whatever. Um, Here's some ideas on how we can deal with it. Now, as a professional dominatrix, I have certain ways I deal with aftercare. You know, we're going to discuss those. We're going to discuss a whole bunch of different things here. The first idea is after your session, the first thing you need to do is take off their gear. Take off the gag, off the blindfold, off the hood, the nipple clamps, the whatever you've been using and playing with, take it off. Put it to the side. Take off the lingerie. Take off if you're dom, take off the, high-heeled boots and, leather corset. It's time to relax. It's time to get back to being a non-dom or a non-submissive. Now, a good idea, sit down and have a talk with your client afterwards, or the person you're dealing with. I say this because maybe some things didn't go exactly the way you wanted them to during the session. So talk about it, discuss it. Now, there are ones that, they feel a little too exposed and vulnerable, overwhelmed afterwards. And that's fine. Maybe they don't want to talk. Maybe they don't want to cuddle. Maybe they don't want to whatever. That's fine. Remember, it's about the sub. It's not about the dom. Remember that for right now, guys. Make sure. Oh, this is a good one. Make sure that you disinfect any wounds. Whips, canes, they cause wounds. Make sure you disinfect them. Maybe rub the wrist if they've been wearing restraints. Nipples if they've been, using clamps. Rub their neck if they've been wearing a collar. A little massage never hurt. Make sure that you have something to drink. Whether it's a bottled water or what I use, body armor. They're great electrolytes. You need something there. Make sure that your is not diabetic though. If they're diabetic, you don't want to have a sugary drink like a soda. You don't want to have wine or caffeine. Before a session, that's great. After a session, you do not want alcohol. It makes their judgment even worse. Okay, if you're non-professional, a great idea. This works with me and my mate all the time. A hot bath with candles and maybe some scent, some flowers, some lavender or lilac bath water. Turn the lights down and just relax. Maybe play some music. After your bath, maybe have a movie with some popcorn. The whole idea is relax and reconnect. If you're a professional, you don't do the reconnect part. Relaxing, a hot bath or shower is a great idea. It lets them wash off all the sweat and the grime of the session, and it helps them relax. Let's switch over to dom care for a minute. Doms, you need it too. You have a after session complete drop. So remember how to recognize it is your adrenaline's gone. You're maybe feeling a little lost for words. Just after a session, take care of yourself. Maybe get a friend to come over and hang out with you. Watch that movie. Maybe they can give a massage. Make sure, if it's a friend that's into BDSM, that's even better. because at least they know what's going on and where you've been and what needs to be done. Um, a little deep breathing, maybe. Taking a couple breaths, count to 10, meditate, do a little bit of yoga or Tai Chi, some stretching. It's a great idea. Back to submissives though. A great thing is if they don't want to be touched, remember, don't touch. If maybe they just don't want, don't need or want that. Maybe wrap them in a blanket, let them get on some comfortable clothes, a baggy t-shirt and some sweatpants if they're not, have them bring, if you're a professional, have them bring a comfortable set of clothes because afterwards they're going to want to relax. Let me think here. Maybe some comfort food, crackers, some chocolate. If they're diabetic, stay away from the chocolate. Stick more to, something that's going to give them back their energy, a little protein bar or something. Like I said, sometimes they just really want to be left alone. A lot of the time, subs, they feel overwhelmed, but there's also time that they feel really bonded. And, they get an sorry, I'm tongue tied today. Oxytocin release. They're coming down and, they want that reassurance on that connection. And you do have this problem as a professional dominatrix. Now, non-professionals, if you're playing with your mate or your husband or your wife, it's not so bad. But I've had 12 offers of marriage last year, and about 6 or 7 that wanted me to date them or move in. They get bonded. They just don't want to let go. And coming down from that high is just like coming down from a joint or, the 101 other things that you can get addicted to. Coming down from a cup of coffee or a sugar high. Just remember, BDSM is non-negotiable. You cannot skip the aftercare. You might be able to skip pre-care. I never do. It's just a bad idea. I did it one time. I had a person come in, wanted a session. I did not vet him. I didn't ask him the questions I should have asked them. And I was kind of young at the time. But he was in the Army. And he seemed really stable. He was a younger man. I asked him if he had any medical conditions. He said no. And without thinking about it, I didn't follow up. And we started the session, and he, come to find out, had gotten into some trouble over, where he was at. I'm not going to go into detail on that. But he had PTSD. And it did not turn out to be the session we both expected. He panicked. And until he came down, I kept him restrained, and I kept him calm. I turned the lights down. I turned the music nice and soft, and I sat and talked to them. I, rubbed his shoulders. And once he calmed down, once he could tell me who I was, who he was, and what he was doing there, I released him. He relaxed. He got a little overwhelmed. Because during a session, you feel exposed. You're vulnerable. I'm trying to think of the perfect word for this, but you get on this high, but you are completely naked before your person. There's no hidden secrets, no hidden rooms that they don't explore. So remember, aftercare is non-negotiable. It has to be done, no matter what. Well, this is Alpha Wolf's Dungeon. I hope you find this informative and, you take it to heart. You'll notice it's one of my longer videos. I try to keep these under 10 minutes because I know people get bored of seeing my face. Trust me, not that great looking. But, okay, this is Alpha Wolf's Dungeon. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit like. And I'll hope to see you again next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.